Often very difficult to watch yourself on tape. It doesn't get any easier. I've shown it to a couple people and it's not getting any better. So for everyone that's here, thank you so much for coming. This has been a couple years in the making at best, and I think about why did I write this book. Oftentimes people talk about writing a book, and I think I was just talking, to be honest. And about 4 years ago, a lot of things changed in my life. I think for the first time I had slowed down in a very long time, and hence came the birth of this book. So what can I tell you about the book? Well, I had an idea. So 4 years ago, I got a severance package. My son was quite young, and I separated. So things stopped. A good way to get an idea of what am I going to do now with my life. So I worked in the corporate sector for 10 years, doing a lot of things that kept me very busy, being the best mom to the best guy ever, and starting anew. So out of that came the concept of the blueprint. So I thought, what do people talk about? When you see people at chapters or at coffee shops or people having a drink at a bar, they talk about relationships. We're consistently talking about wanting to make things better. So I think of my blueprint, and as a little girl, I don't know that my dad's in the room, my mom's supposed to be on her way. I always thought of myself as being in a big house with a little boy. And guess where I ended up 4 years ago? So I put myself in the hot seat. I thought, I should really think about why this has happened. And here comes the blueprint. So I put myself in the hot seat. When we train, oftentimes as therapists, in my case, I was with others in the room, we go into therapy, believe it or not. Kind of uncomfortable. Some of us would say yes, some of us not. And I think of my upbringing. Grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, two parents that loved me profusely, not without their incidents in their marriage. They tried their best. They had 6 kids by the time my mom was 28, and were they ready? Maybe, they thought so. But with that came a lot of concerns and parenting inconsistencies. So I think that I started to think about, what did they go through? 28 and 33 years old, 6 kids under the age of 10, and they're trying to make us feel safe and secure. I think they loved us dearly and they did their best. But unfortunately, with their concerns came a lot of things. So here I am writing about it 4 years ago when I finally stopped. So what I realized when I started to look at my blueprint is, what did I do? I started to not focus on what was going on with me all the time. I started to not think about what were my emotional needs all the time. I did at times, but sometimes not. And then I started to think, how can I cope with this? Well, I think of my choices. Well, I think I made pretty good choices. I had a great career, I have great friendships. When I look around the room today, I have great family relationships. And I live in a great community, replicating the things that I grew up in a small little village in Trinidad and Tobago. But my choices that I made in relationships, in retrospect, were a bit short-sighted. Primary relationship being emotional. So what I did was, I looked at, how do I get away from what I think is considered chaos? Well, I started to make choices in some of my close emotional relationships by focusing away from what I valued. Did I know that? No. Or at least I thought I knew that I had all the things I had in mind to make good choices. It worked for a very long time. It worked for 15 years and it was fun. So I attracted someone that was equally disconnected from what he felt. And you put 2 people together that would fit, and for the therapist in the room, you understand, 2 insecurely attached people. Made for a lot of fun. Let's not talk about feelings, and let's have a party. It was fun. But what started to happen is stages change, and so do we. So here comes our little boy. And from that point on, things started to kind of backfire Intentionally or not, it started to. And that's at that point when you start to realize that, maybe I've turned away from certain core things that I should have maybe looked at. But at the point that I was at in my life, there was no need. So here we are, the end, and I should not say the end, I should say the beginning of a great stage. Big house, little boy, with a lot of great things. Career intact, phenomenal relationships, friendships, and deep family relationships that have been mended, and I cannot tell you the love that I have in my primary family now. So what was I forced to do? Well, as the therapist, or I'm the client, not so sure right now, I started to listen. I started to slow down. So the impetus to slow down was dictated outside of me. I did not plan to leave the corporate sector. I was asked nicely to leave, or should I say I got a severance package. And then that forced me to look at, what do I need now in this new stage? Choice of partner was one of the first choices that got made, so that shifted. And then I started to think about what is healthy for me in this stage. I needed to understand what safety and security, which is what we teach people every day as therapists, looked like, or should I say felt like. We all kind of think, I should speak for myself, we know what it looks like, but what does it feel like on the inside? And going back to practicing again really helped me in slowing 4 years ago. I really started to reconnect, and I have some phenomenal colleagues in this room here. Vera, who is my clinical supervisor, that makes me look at that mirror at times when I don't want to. I started to dig deeper emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, and started to think about, it's time to put on the neon lights on the stage that I'm at, and make the changes. So why did I write the book? Because I think all of us, whether my story may be a bit different, sometimes we might want to stop and reflect. Think about, are there things that we might want to change? And it may not be that it's big changes, but it may be little changes. So I'm going to leave you with some things for you to consider about your blueprint, if you are to read the book, and some things about relationships. Some things to think high level on. How do you make choices in relationships? Do you know? Or do they just kind of happen? How do you know that you're happy? Not just from the outside, the middle-aged kind of concept, but the internal concept. How do you feel it in your body? What are the things that you most value in life? The things that I turned my back on, I turned back to what's as a child, in my culture, in connection, and authenticity at times. Where do your values and beliefs come from? And how do you formulate it? And are you living within your value? If not, I guess I leave you with the question, why not? Thank you.